So I'm watching people on Instagram. I just happen to scroll down and I see something from ESPN, I believe. It was Timothy Bradley and Andre Ward. What are they talking about? Now, I have huge respect for Andre Ward. He's a class act. I like him outside of the ring, and I liked him inside of the ring. Didn't really follow his career too much, but I could tell he's a solid guy. But he seems to have something against Anthony Joshua, and I don't quite know what it is. You know, I don't think he's biased in any kind of way, but I think it's like he just looks at things from a weird angle. I believe he's going into the Boxing Hall of Fame, and he knows a lot about the sport, no doubt about that. He retired undefeated, wasn't a knockout puncher, but really knows the game of boxing. He knows how to box. Timothy Bradley, uh, he was always in great condition, came to the ring in shape, wasn't really a knockout puncher either, but Timothy Bradley was just talking crazy, saying stuff like, and he's like really yelling at the camera, talking about Joshua is too, like he's still scarred from the first fight with Andy Ruiz. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, you've been in the ring as a professional. You should know better than saying something like that. When a guy improves and comes back, beats the guy that beat him before without a tune-up, changes his style, and you talk about he's tentative. I mean, I forget the word that he used. It wasn't cautious. It was something like tentative. I'm just like, what is he talking about? And then if he had come back to the second Ruiz fight and got knocked out again because he rushed in like he did the first time, they would have said, well, he didn't learn anything. You're supposed to learn from your fights. You're a professional. I'm like, man, I, you know, I'm hoping that Timothy Bradley knows that ESPN aren't just going at Joshua because Tyson Fury signed with their network. Still, be fair. Don't just say stuff because, you're trying to extend your contract or something. I trust, I don't think, like I said, I don't think these guys are biased. It's just like they look at things from one point of view. They don't look at it from the aspect like Joshua's improved and, he might come in the ring and they might look like, hey, in his earlier fights, he was going in reckless. That's because he was more raw. He was more green back then. If you look at tough man fights, they come in just swinging. But a fighter that knows what he's doing, he's going to take his time. Um, I was watching the Zone, and they asked Andre Ward if he had a comeback fight, who would he fight? Anthony Joshua or Canelo Alvarez? He actually said he would take on Joshua. Now, in my opinion, in order to beat Joshua, you have to be a knockout puncher and you have to know how to box. Now, Andre Ward's got the boxing thing sewn up. He knows how to box. Great boxing IQ. I saw him showing Clarissa Shields a while back on YouTube, some techniques. He's got that down pat, but, you know, I just don't see how he could stand up to the punches of Joshua because Andre Ward is not a big guy, especially for, the heavyweights. And today's heavyweights, they're all like 240 and up pretty much. I don't see Andre Ward beating a smaller heavyweight in the top 10, let alone someone on Anthony Joshua's level. I don't know what he's talking about, maybe he sees something that the rest of us don't see. But I don't know how he could keep a guy Joshua's size off of him if he doesn't have a punch to keep him off of him. Joshua will just, throw him into the corner like Clubber Lang and Rocky, and he's not going to fear what Andre Ward's throwing back at him because he's not feeling any power. So I don't see how he could possibly beat Anthony Joshua. And Timothy Bradley's he's just losing credibility the more he speaks. Some fighters should just stick with boxing and leave the commentating to other people because he clearly doesn't know what he's talking about at all. And I actually heard Tyson Fury say that he could stop Anthony Joshua in 3 rounds or less, and I believe Sugar Hill said so too. Man, has everybody lost their minds right now? I hope not. But even when Joshua was at his worst, he kept getting up. So how in the world is Tyson Fury going to knock out Anthony Joshua? This isn't Deontay Wilder. Anthony Joshua knows how to fight. And he's improved greatly. He's a boxer puncher. More of a puncher than a boxer in his earlier career. And I don't see him knocking Joshua down. I can see Joshua knocking him down. I think he'll get up. I think it'll go to the cards. But I don't see by any means. I don't see in any way that Tyson Fury can knock out Anthony Joshua, let alone inside 3 rounds. I just don't see it happening. I don't know if he's trying to get in Anthony Joshua's head or trying to make Joshua come in overly aggressive by talking like that so he can catch him with a punch or something, but I just don't see it happening at all. And I don't know, it's like people got some different views, and I know these guys are all professionals and things like that, but you don't know sometimes if I don't know, I hate to think that people like Timothy Bradley and has an agenda, I skip back to Timothy Bradley, but yeah, man, it's a lot of opinions out there that I just don't agree with, and everybody's entitled to their opinion, especially former professional fighters, and I don't know. I know Tyson Fury's main game is to get in people's heads. I believe he got in Deontay Wilder's head before the second fight, even in the first fight, to be honest. So, matter of fact, I hate when people say to be honest. It's like, what were you saying before everything else was dishonest? So you have to come back and say, to be honest, like all the other times I wasn't telling the truth. Anyway, man, like when I hear Teddy Atlas speak on Mike Tyson, it seems like Teddy Atlas has some of the best points I've ever heard, high boxing IQ. But when it comes to talking about Mike Tyson, he seems to have something against Tyson, claims he doesn't, but he seems to never give Tyson the credit he deserves. And I noticed that about people in the fight game. It's like certain fighters, they don't want to give their credit. I noticed when Lennox Lewis was fighting, Gil Clancy would always have something to say. And Wallace, that used to be on that show, The Last Word with Jim Rome, he'd always have something to say. Like when Lennox Lewis beat down Michael Grant in, what was it, 2 or 3 rounds, and he said something about, where was the jab? I didn't see the jab. Man, he stopped the fight early. What are you talking about? You don't need to use a jab if you knock somebody out. I wanted to see the jab. Your game plan isn't his game plan. You're not his coach. You weren't Emmanuel Stewart. You aren't Emmanuel Stewart. So what in the world? I mean, they pay these guys the big bucks for their opinion, huh? But what do I know? And what's going on in the boxing world right now? Let's see. I didn't really watch. I saw Showbiz do a little bit of the live stream for the Caleb Plant fight, but I was in and out. I saw bits here and there. Caleb Plant looks like a solid fighter. I know people are talking about that he has no chance against Canelo Alvarez, but he definitely has a chance. Yeah, it won't be easy. I don't know. Like I did another video about what does it take to beat Alvarez. I'm still not sure, but it looks like Caleb Plant has the tools. He's a slick fighter, got a nice jab, and he's like I said, he's slick, he's cagey, but and I saw a clip of that heavyweight. What's his name? Something about coffee or something. Landed some serious uppercuts on I don't know the guy he was fighting, but he really laid into him and looks like a good fighter. I was saying on Mr. Boxing Today 2's page, I was saying seems like the only fighters that look in shape are pretty much Joshua, Wilder, Joe Joyce. I forgot to mention Daniel Dubois, but a lot of the other guys don't look in shape. Even if they are in shape, they don't have that intimidating look that a lot of the fighters had in the 1990s. And I just thought that's, he was saying that there's a lot of in shape guys, and he was naming some I never heard of, but I think my point was not so much that they're in shape, but I mean that they look the part. Boxing's not just being in shape. You want to intimidate your opponent, and if you come in the ring looking skinny and dehydrated, I'm gonna think I'm gonna roll right through you. Whether I do or not, that's something else, but that's gonna be my mindset that I'm gonna bully you. I'm gonna knock you out the ropes. You come in looking skinny and ribs touching. But yeah, I guess that's all that I gotta say right now about the heavyweight division. Timothy Bradley, Anthony Ward, things I saw on DAZN and Instagram. And I'm gonna start leaving you guys with something to think about. Since oranges are called oranges because they're orange, why aren't bananas called yellows? Something to think about. It's the J. Ruiz theory. Put a fist to the like button, comment, share, subscribe, and be fearless. Thanks for watching.